A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. I am Umar Muhammad Kalibchinan disciple Olaiwala Makihinda Vishakunola Mugdal Sekam Sangeb Neville Angelo Scott. I'm transmitting to you from East Dry River, Laventille. The time is now 10 minutes before 3 hour of 1 p.m. Today is the 6th day, the 6th of the 6th, 2022. Now, I listened to opinion concerning the statement that the opposition leader, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, had made, and I wasn't too particular in answering it, but it kept on urging me to give an answer, to give my opinion. Why? Because 1970, at the age of 22 years old, I was marching in the Black Power uprising. And I marched under a banner that says Indian and African unite. But it is very disappointing today to see where it has reached to. Now I want to say something. Racism in Trinidad and Tobago is very, especially Trinidad, is very, very subliminal. When I say subliminal, it is being disguised. Handshake, smile, all kind of, talk about all of you is one, and if you cut me again, you had blood, and it all kind of nonsense, right? And all of you is one. And all these things are being said to our people who don't even know themselves, who don't even know how to love themselves, right? So we had these things going on for years after years. Before the 1970 Black Power uprising, I had known racism to be between the African and the Indians. We, the Africans, as a little boy growing up, used to hear my mother calling them coolie. And I don't know, but I think, well, they had their racist remarks against us too. And there was something like a poem, Coolie, Coolie, come for roti all, the roti done, mashed potato, and it went on. The late Prime Minister Dr. Eric Williams intervened, and he said, we must stop all this coolie and nigger thing. And so doing, we really stopped at the coolie thing. But the nigger, we didn't know them as Indian, we didn't have coolie. We said, look, the coolie man. But the nigger thing continued. It continued. And it continued with the naming left and right. We even went so far to discriminate against the small islanders like Grenada, St. Vincent. When the late I just said the late Blakey, the late Lord Blakey sang a calypso. I waiting on them scamps and them I know the bong to ball. They can't read or write or spell, but they can't pronounce at all. The policeman tell them say pig, they say in hog. And when they say hog, straight inside the van. Something like that. That was open discrimination against, we used to call them small island. Because we thought that Trinidad was a big place, and they come, when the Grenadians and the Vincentians come, we used to discriminate against them. And these same Grenadian and Vincentians came, and they became big businessmen, and they had big business. So while we were discriminating against them, they're of a different nature, of a different way how they deal with the people, not like us. Even the Tobagonians deal with the people in a sort of unifying way, not like how we in Trinidadian. I don't know if it's because It's all kind of thing went on with Trinidad and all kind of different races passed through Trinidad. These small island people came and they built big houses, big businessmen. So we in Trinidad seem to have a special complex. And we thought Trinidad was big. Trinidad is a dot comparing to many of these other islands in the world. Sometimes you can't even sit on the map, you have to look good. But you know, I don't know if all these things were being controlled by somebody on top so that those underneath could fight against themselves. A sort of divide and rule business. But anyhow, I listened to the remarks given by some people on social media about this statement. And you know what I'm saying? I'm saying it's good. It's good for African people. And it is discriminating by the Indian people. Because in the first place, we know we had to change our name in 1970. The PNM should have set an example, but they never set that example. In fact, I believe that the PNM should be the government to sort of encourage people to change their names. Ministers should change their names who are African, but we didn't do that. Remember, guys, the whole reason for the 1970 uprising, the Black Power uprising, we never did that. And we continued. And to add insult to injury, those who changed their names and those who wanted to be organic or natural, they were scoffed at, they were ridiculed and mocked at. Oh, he's African, he's changing a name. What kind of name is that? Blah, blah, blah. I remember when I was driving my car one day in a roadblock. When the police came to check me, certificate of insurance and license, no problem. That is your work. I willingly give it to you. When he looked at it, he looked at me. He said, what is your real name? So I looked at him. I said, but why should he be asking me that, officer? That is my name there on the ID card. Is that your real name? I said, officer, we're talking about real. Well, if that is not my real name, well, then you have to charge me for carrying a false name. But I have everything legalized. Then he looked at me and he said, what is the name on your birth paper? I said, you're now talking. And I tell him the name on the birth paper. And I told him I went through affidavit to change my name and so on. And it was an African policeman. So he himself was not conscious and very what they call sarcastic about my name. But let me tell you something. It is not easy for the African people to come back to themselves in this system, to be themselves. You know how much effort it is take to change your name, and then you're getting racism from all sides with your name. And then when you go to change your name, it's not easy. If anybody go to change your name now, you have to change on your whole ID card, your driving permit if you have any, your passport. It is very, very, but you have to do that because that's illegal way of doing it. But sometimes people say they can't go through all that. Huh? They get themselves an African name and they keep that name that you said because they don't want to go through all that. I myself, I don't have an African name. I have a Muslim name. Right? But I go and change back to African name. It's the same problem. Right? It's the same problem. Now, these same Umar Mohammedan that I have, racist, and I get to that. When I decided to be a Muslim in the mosque, racism, and I myself thought to myself that Umar and Muhammad and Abdullah was Indian name because we were very ignorant. Very ignorant. And we didn't have anybody at all from the other races say, well, listen, you know what happened? Let us be our brothers' keepers. These people are ignorant. Let us get them together and tell them, hey, all you no Negro, all you is African. And all this is African them. And let me encourage them. Let me be friendly. Let me show them a racial relationship. Right? Let me just don't show them a relationship with that. When you have the roti and the doubles, they must come to buy. Let me show them a racial relationship so that we both can harmonize together. Each of us are our brothers' keepers to assist and help one another. That is why I'm saying that the then Prime Minister, or Kamla Prasad Bisasa, who was Prime Minister, she should have said and encouraged Africans to be Africans in the true sense of following their culture and their name. You don't even have an African place of worship in Port of Spain to say, well, Orisha or whatever other culture that is directly relating to Africa. You don't even have African language in school. You don't even have authentic or real African story or history in school. I'm not talking about slavery. I'm talking about thousands, millions of years before slavery. You don't have that. So what happened? Our youths are living with a lost sense of belonging. A lost sense of belonging, like the lost sheep. A sheep is lost, you don't know where he needs some shepherd to lead him back to the green pastures. So since there's a lost sense of belonging, well, I want to belong to something, so I will join a gang. I will become this, I will become that. The women have that lost sense of belonging, so they want to be sexy. I know a long time everybody wanted to be a Gina Lolo Bijida. Everybody wanted to look like some white woman. So we were lost. We were not conscious of ourselves of where we're going. And there was no other race of people to come and tell us, hey, don't do this. As Bob Marley rightly said, none but ourselves can free our minds. But if ourselves is not conscious enough to free our minds, and if in freeing our minds, some of us pretend, look, I go put on African thing and I'll go behind that. The next thing you're looking to commit adultery, or you're looking for some African woman in the mix to see if you could have sex with she. But you're telling yourself is African. You're telling yourself, you're Orisha or whatever African group you belong to. But your eyes can become restless when you see African woman coming. That is how you look at African things. But to be an African, it means to say that you have to be disciplined yourself so that you will not put your race of people in shame, so that you'll be proud of the race of people. But who wants us to be proud of ourselves? Everybody wants to take advantage of us so that they could be proud of themselves alone. Everybody uses us as a stepping stone. And then they laugh at us. So you can imagine a statement like that being used in the open. Why did you use that statement? Why didn't you use that statement when you were Prime Minister? It would have sounded nicer. It would have sounded very good. Why didn't you use that statement when you said there should be no Mother Africa but Grandmother Africa? Such a nonsense you come out talking. And Grandmother India. Why didn't you at that time use that statement? You were Prime Minister, you had the authority. Then it would have looked as though, well, yes, you're really trying to support or to encourage the people to be themselves. No, but you know what happened? You wait until somebody provoke you. You waited until somebody provoked you so that you could bring it out. So imagine you bring it out because you were provoked. What are you calling my name for? You only calling my name to Kamna Sushila Prasad Bisasa. What are you calling my name for? And you bring it out. So you could imagine, without that provocation, what is being said behind the closed doors about us. I'm going to say about us, I mean members of your party too who are Africans and didn't change their name and have the slave master's name. You think the slave master didn't know what he was doing? Go and read the history, the African history. When they were breaking us out, they said it will take more than 400 years, about 1,000 years for you to catch yourself. Read about Willie Lynch, who break us out with some mental programs to have us fighting against ourselves, mother against this and fair skin African against black skin African. Read about that. No wonder why we get on so. Go and read books by Alex Haley. When Africans change the name, what they should go to for changing their name should be killed and whipped and everything. What is your name? Go and look at that picture and see how the boy was whipped because he didn't want to give himself a slave master name. And so it is today. When you have an African name, you feel shame. You know how much youths I know who gave themselves African name and were about to change it. In fact, some people changed it and they went back and they changed it back to the usual name. You know why? Discrimination. Discrimination. You're going to get a job. What's your name? They push you aside. You know how much discrimination are you going to with this name, Umar Mohammed? And it is not a true African name in the sense. Because the Muslim leaders too did come down on African people and exploited them also. I went through a lot of discrimination with this name. And let me tell you one of the discrimination I went through. I went looking for a job, a construction job. And the African man came out of we were lining up outside on St. Vincent Street. That building was going up was the American Life Insurance building on St. Vincent Street. And we were lining up outside, you know, where construction work, waiting for work. Sit down in a line and linemen and waiting for when they want men to call them. The African man came out. Who is Umar Mohammed? Umar Mohammed. I passed. But, you know, I don't know, for some reason I didn't answer. I watched him. And he gone on the line. He went to two Indian people. You see Umar Mohammed? He said, no. You see Umar Mohammed? No. So when he came back and he said, I said, I'm Umar Mohammed. Do you watch me? He said, you see Umar Mohammed? I said, yeah. He watched me. He said, anyhow. So, anyhow, I get the work through anyhow. Through anyhow, I get the work. You know why? He was so unconscious, so ignorant of the name, that he went straight to two Indian persons and asking them if they are Umar Mohammed, because they are the people who should have Umar Mohammed name. And Umar Mohammed is not an Indian name, it's an Arabic name. And up to today, people just get tied up with that. So when I told him I'm Umar Mohammed, he was shocked. He said, anyhow, perhaps if he had known that Umar Muhammad is a man with nutty hair, and you could see that because the war we approached the two Indian boys. And many things like that went on, my people. So when Kamla Prasad was talking about you have a slave master, it is not easy to change the name Kamla Prasad Bisasa. We are not like you all. They're damn lucky that only end up like we. Only have only Indian name and Indian culture and only could go down or only all down in Central you could see Indian names on the street and so only lucky. So what all you should do, you should pray for me and support us. Don't support us. Don't come to us when you get when you're provocated or when you find somebody calling a name too often. That is discrimination. That is racism. And you know what I find? I find we Africans, Emancipation Support Community, all the Orisha group, everybody just stay quiet and put the tail between the leg. I don't know for what reason. I ain't telling you to go and do any harm or to go against the law of the country. I am saying that we should have an African Leaders Summit or African Leaders Association, and when things like this happen, all the heads of the African group come together and let us voice our opinion. If legislation has to be changed, let it be so. Because Kamla Prasad Bisasa said that, and It are people that nothing. It are people who will say, well, she have a right to say so because they didn't have they didn't change the name. You know, as I said before, you know the kind of problem they start to change the name. I'm gonna change the name, you know the kind of victimization and discrimination they have. Sometimes if it's your own people that victimize against you because the first thing we give an African name. You know what them, no? That the name you have. But these same African people who victimize you because of your name, if a Chinese man have a name John Paul, they say them. John Paul, look at that Chinese name John Paul. How come you have a Chinese name? So they know. Shakespeare said that a rose by any other name, it still remains a rose. It is still sweet. If you take a dog from Germany, a German Shepherd, and they bring it to Trinidad, you still call it a German Shepherd. It remains a German Shepherd. So why they took us from Africa and bring us to Trinidad? We have to be Trinidadian and Negro. So Negro is the Spanish word for black. We don't want a Spanish word to identify we. We want we own thing. This is what's happening. I am an African, not even African, but let me use that word for now. The real word is Alkibula, Nubian, and so on. So I find some of these head of groups are very, very dormant. They are silent. And that makes the other people to realize that they could come on with it more. They ain't gonna say nothing. Because for the last election, or from whenever the last election, you could have heard them calling me cockroach, monkey, because they were vexed. But a cockroach will do nothing. A cockroach is a very peaceful thing. It doesn't do anything. Maybe because of the color, but they are white cockroach too. I don't know why they give us these things. I have heard it. I have heard them beyond the tape. A man come and say them cockroaches and cockroaches that. And people keep themselves silent. Yeah. But the people who are making the nuclear bomb and causing all destruction in the world, World War One, World War Two, the people who contaminating the atmosphere, who making plastic rice and all kind of plastic fish and damaging nature, they may no cockroach. Everything all right with them. World War One and World War Two, we even went and helped them fight the war. And we still end up getting a kick in the side of the back. Or let me put it as the backside. And it is very discouraging to see how our people just take on these things. The woman called you and she called a name. She didn't mention anything to say she really. It's a political pecan because look how much name they call the Prime Minister. Raging Bull, all kind of thing. They pressure him. And he never diverted himself to that kind of statement. You can't take your pecan, you can't take fatigue according to me. So you went over the border. The colonial master's name, the slave master's name. But you are very lucky, my dear Colonel Prasad Bisasa, that the same slave master whom you were under, but you were not under that slave master by force. You made a choice to come from India to come here on indentureship labor. We didn't make any choice. We were forced to. And when you came here, nobody didn't take away all your name. Nobody didn't burn all your all in Americans and tell all you don't call all yourself African name. Nobody didn't change it and say all in African, all is Negro and all that kind of thing. So all you're damn lucky and give praise and thanks. So what you all should be doing now, if you're talking about brothers and sisters or Trinidad and Tobago, we all are one, you all should be trying to unite all yourself with us in the sense that let me give them that respect, let me give them that honor, let me tell them what, if they don't know, we'll tell them. Because I have an Indian friend, and he was talking to me, and he did mention all the Negroes, and I make it understand, brother man, hold it there. I say, you ever see the word Negro on any land in the world? He said no. I say you are supposed to be identified according to the origination of your race. I say I'm an African. But you know what some people just say? Oh, I mix. I'm a Douglas. There is no problem in being a Douglas, my son. If your mother is Indian and the father is African or vice versa, there is no problem. Because if that is the case, I, in my own sense, will welcome you anyway. You should be welcomed by the Indians. You should be welcomed by the Africans. And you will be very happy because nobody on either side can tell you anything. You in between. That is how it should be. So if it's a Douglas, you're better off. You go by the Indians, they don't welcome you. You go by the Africans, they welcome you. Right? If you go by the Africans and they welcome you and so on, so on, so on, that is nonsense. But I believe you are in a position to be welcomed. According to the Calypsonian named Mighty Douglas, he sang that Calypso. So what I'm saying, my people, racism is a very dangerous thing. How could you have people in your party who have slave master name and say nothing like that? Oh yes, you were right to say so, I said, but you said it at the wrong time and for the wrong reason. You should have said that when you were Prime Minister. Oh gosh, we would have voted for you again. You know why? Can never have this Sessa boy. She's telling all this change all the name. She wants all it to be African. Right? The woman telling all it to be all herself. It would have been nice. But you were not telling us to be ourselves with that retaliation when Camille Regis Robinson talked to you. You were blaspheming. You were discriminating. Let me see what I have here again. It is the PNM who tell us to stop the coolie and nigger. But at the same time, it's the PNM who encourage it. So it was a kind of, somebody came on Beyond the Tape and talk about how the African children and them into crime because of the fact that they don't know themselves and they're lost. And when somebody is lost, they'll find themselves getting caught up in anything. And the reply was, well, look, I am a Christian. No. A lot of people don't know how to reply to that. If African culture and everything was taught in school, if in Port of Spain we had some places that Africans could go, just like the Mahasaba had a place, there's a Chinese, it have a Chinese association. And if we could have a place put aside where as the African association, when they go downtown, they could have Beach Johnson, no, but we don't have that place. We have to strive to get this place. So we don't have these facilities. So the youths and them, what they have? To lime on Nelson Street, to come down from your home and go and lime on the block. No sense of belonging. You're lost. You think you could tell some of these today about African? No. Because when Dr. Eric Williams said, don't call yourself nigger, it didn't stop. And it has continued into which have to call himself dog and horse. Now boy. And the culture gone down the drain. You know why the culture gone down the drain? Because the same people who telling you you're African, you're lazy, and you're this and you're that, and so much of us full of the jail and always in the courthouse. It is the same people who, economically speaking, are bringing in the drugs, are pushing a change in the musical industry, pushing a change in the fashion, so that we could be so involved or so carried away by nonsensical things so that they could live off us. And that is why today, the Bob Marley song, right, and all these real nice songs of yesteryear, the James Brown, Say It Loud and Black and Proud, that is why today, all these things almost gone through. You can't go to a party and play. We name again this Californian who died and Nisharam. I'm black and proud, and James Brown sung it also. You think you could go to a party today and play them thing? Not even Barry White, Isaac Hayes, Mighty Sparrow. You think you could go and play kitchen thing in a party? Or let us see what it is going on. So when these people on top bombard us with these things, it's a mental way of controlling you. So them could be playing with danger while we play with money or pay. And we living off of them because when they play with danger, they end up in the courthouse, the hospital, or the jail. Why I think it have? I saw so many speakers come and talking about crime and crime and crime and crime, and we have to do this and we have to do that. There are certain people who have certain organization and they are trying their best with it, but it cannot rise. You know why they cannot rise? Because those on top will see it fit that nobody coming with any group to raise African children to really know themselves. And many of the people who are talking about crime do not want to touch on that topic. You think somebody coming talking about crime and when you're talking about get this school going and get doing a course, no matter what they have going, once you don't know yourself as belonging to a race and caste, learn to love yourself. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. Once you can do that, you could learn how much trade you want. You will never be yourself. So that when you qualify in that trade, you're still yourself. You know what? You become a qualified slave with a slave master's name. That is what you become. So you're still not yourself. You're qualified to work for the system. You're qualified under the system. You ain't qualified under a system that will make you help your people. That will make you realize you are African amongst your people. That means to say you don't have to help other people. Yes, you have to help other people. We all have to live with one another. But how can I live with other people when other people don't want to live with me? How can you expect a man on the road who doesn't know himself to live with you? You know the people who don't know themselves and who are ignorant of themselves. You know them is the people who just get on about hunky and coolie and all that kind of thing because they don't know themselves. I who know myself, whenever I see the Indian and the Chinese, I just try to treat them with respect. Because I am saying, if you are an Indian, be an Indian first before you love anybody else. Be a Chinese first before you love anybody else. Because when you came out of your mother's womb, you had to be yourself to understand what is love, to love the world, to love the variety in the world, to love the different things. You have to be yourself first. And you love yourself so much that the first place you vibrate to was the nipple of the woman's breast because you love yourself, you want to feed yourself. Love yourself. If it's an Indian, be an Indian. I mean, I can't tell nobody what religion to belong to, but I see when some Indians become Pentecostal and all that kind of thing. I say, they're not real Indian. You're a real Indian, be a Hindu. Follow the Hindu religion. Follow yourself. Follow what your ancestors did. You'll be a Chinese. Follow what your ancestors did. You'll be an African. Follow what your ancestors did. And by so doing, every creed and race will find an equal place. But every creed and race find an equal place except the African man. It is the African man who have to find an equal place. Because when it was said that every creed and race find an equal place, the Indians had the name, they had the culture, they know themselves. Chinese have Chinese Association, they even have Chinatown now. Syrians, everybody. We are the lost sheep. So it is only we that is left to find an equal place, but you know what happens? Some of us think by finding an equal place is jump up with everybody carnival, they hang up on one. Go on drink, go on the beach, have a party, land. Shake hands for a political election. Find yourself. And don't come and tell me that nonsense about me ain't too sure if it's African, because I mix. I know my father was just You never see a Chinese coming out talking that nonsense to you or Indian. You always want to prove that you're not fully African because you want to run away from yourself. You don't want to face yourself. My dear people, once you have this nutty here, and you have the skin, You have the characteristics of an African. If you go to Africa, they might even know that you're from Trinidad until they talk. Well, somebody might go and say, well, if they test your blood and they find that you have white people blood in you. But how much white people blood could you have in you when all on the outside you're showing purely African? So here what happened. If you take a cup of orange juice and you throw half that cup of orange juice in a container, or let's say take 100% orange juice, you throw the whole cup in a container, and you take a little spoon of pine juice, a little spoon of grapefruit juice and put with it. Do you want to tell me that you don't have orange juice? You could never tell me that you don't have orange juice. You have orange juice, even though it is mixed with a little thing. But dominantly speaking, you could taste the orange, you could see the orange in the cup. And this is what you're running from. We don't want people to see the African in us. Because as soon as we have a little thing here, a little here and here, we start to play that. Me not an African, or we start to play the fool. If it's a Douglas, stop playing the fool. Go by the Indians and go by the Africans. We all should welcome you. You're in a better position. So I am saying that nobody, none but ourselves can free our mind. And don't care what people say, it has reached a stage which that if we cannot free ourselves, we'll end up like those in Ukraine. You see what happened to the Africans in Ukraine? They went to study in Ukraine, they were laugh, they had friends and everything. Things were nice. Yeah? No discrimination. The Africans, the white people accept you, you study, they laugh at you, they talk with you and everything. But little did they know that when push comes to shove, is every man for his own. So that when the African youths went in the train, the soldiers came and tell them, get out. It's only my people supposed to be here. And no other white people outside didn't support or didn't tell the soldiers how they could think that these people are human beings, they want to get away too. So my people are telling all you, all in Africa, and I mean this, when push comes to shove, you go see, you know. When push comes to shove, you go see. Alright, you see what this can now say? Slave master name. Right? Slave master name. So I want to know how all the other people in her party with the slave master name. Yeah. Then you should leave that party right away. Because you as a prime minister will bring yourself down like some little naughty little child you can't take fatigue and carry yourself beyond that border. A prime minister who has ruled this country. So if you come and if you become a prime minister again, who knows what you will be discussing about us behind closed doors. If you come out in the open and say it because somebody called your name. Look how much youth don't know themselves. Look how much youth joining gang and going astray. And we're talking about the current situation, but none of us don't want to touch it. I saw them come and be on the tape, come on the radio, come current situation. But if you notice, none of them don't want to touch that topic. I say, man, listen, well, there's African and we have to try to put something. No, they want to touch it. It's either they want us to remain so, or either they fail to touch it because they know that the systems are about divide and rule, and we are at the bottom of the economical ladder, and they want to keep us down there so that it won't rise, so they could remain up there. They widely for the food. So my people, Umar Muhammad, Kalisun disciple, I talking to all you know. And I want all of you to hear me, each driver lamenting. Stop fighting against ourselves until all let us go and take the fight to anybody else. Let us unite. Remember in 1970, with the Black Power uprising, it was our all-in-one. It was our uncle, nephew, niece, everybody. We used to call one another brother, not hog and not dog and cat and dog and horse is brother. When we left here and we go over in John, it was brother. It was no borderline. And they see we coming together. And somehow somebody decided that they will bring certain things in the area to make us lust and to make us become greedy so that we could fight against one another. That's what they do. That is what they do. They bring the fashion, they bring the drugs, they bring everything. Lick up yourself. You know why? Because you're greedy. They bring the box drain, they bring the URP, and somebody want more than the next one. Somebody want to control so that I could give my boys all the money. Somebody want to kill this one. And we ended up nowhere. All of us still end up pauper. So I want to know if you can open your eyes and see it's time to stop ganging up against one another. East Drivers, St. Paul Street, Corey Street. It is time for us to stop ganging up against one another. Because while we are ganging up against one another, other people are ganging up against us. And if we study all the gang leaders and everything, and hear what happened, they set it up in such a way so that we now could gang up against the police. Right? So the police job now is to kill all of them out. And one of the reasons, you know why? Because when they find it overdoing and it overflowing into their territory, or doing things in such a way so that the outside people could put up some kind of warning sign, don't go to Trinidad, it's affecting the economy, so get down on them, kill them out. Mr. Youthman, you're having sex, you want to have a child, or you have children, or you have a child or children, you want to have a future. Hear what is happening. Let your future to be in your area, communicate with others, and well, I see it happening now, very good. Try a little business in your area, open up a little business and try to do something and feel good. Because you see the idea that you can't work here and you can't go there and you have to be looking, that is nice. I can't take that kind of living if I were to be a youth man in these days. Why I ain't going there, but I can't go there. For what? Who getting rich? How many of them get rich and leave big acres of land for the children? And everybody's still going down the same road. Love the older ones, honor thy father and thy mother. Right? So when a man come in, each driver, you could feel comfortable. A man, that's how this should be long time, you know. When you come in, when you go, John, a man call you. You say, we bubbling up pot here, man, come, you getting food. You're lineman. You might even get a girlfriend over there too. So how come you see this kind of stupidness? You can't go this and you can't go here, you will get killed. And sometimes a man pick up a woman, I mean here. I've seen say pick up, but you fall in love with a woman or you get in a relationship with a woman, and when you hear she from, you say, nah, girl, God, man. You go continue like that all the time? And who making the money in the courthouse? Eh? Well, I had a slave master name and I changed my name. And I will tell you who want to do it, they could do it. But it's very difficult and it's very hard for us to do it. I can tell you that. It is not just, according to Camden, it is not just tell somebody you have a slave master. It is very difficult, it's very hard, it is very expensive. You know how much places I go in and when people ask me my name, I have to go back home and work in the deep pool and everything and whatever it is. And here next thing to you, I will tell you something to you. Very, very dangerous and it's very discriminating. You see when you change your name, some of these people just willfully spell your name wrong. Right? And if they put in the name on the ID card, well, today is different. They will tell you, watch it and make sure that is your name. But long time this is spelling name wrong. So no matter check your ID card, you're in trouble. So, my people, Umar Muhammad, born and grew up in East Driver, and I live in many other districts, so I could talk. I know what I'm talking about. I live Mova. I want to bought an lime in Never Dirty. I live Rich Plain, Dingo Martin. I live Caranage, Nasmita. I live Quarry Street. I live 5 of Zaruka. I live Enterprise Village. I sell and I move around all in Sea Lots, all in Bitam Estate. And I'll tell you something. People respect me. People respect me. And I respect them. Right here in this district, people respect me. Because I don't do nobody nothing. I just walk out and go maybe I'm always busy and looking for constructive thing to do. Yes, there will be a little getting away because nobody is perfect, no area is perfect. But generally speaking, people respect me, especially as an elderly person, right? And I don't know if there's have no sort of bacchanal and confusion around here, so right. So I pray that all areas will be in that kind of mode, that kind of condition, so that people will come in your area and they'll be glad. They'll be glad. You know the kind of advice I just get people around here? Plant an economical advice. If you plant two big mango tree in a yard, and I have two big soursop tree, and the next person have two big guava tree, we go survive. You know why? Because your two big mango tree might have so much of mango, you will sell and you'll have to give away. And my soursop tree will have so much, so I'll sell and have to give away. So I will give to you, you will give to me, because you have, I have, and I have. Exchange is no working. So if all of you plant different trees, or all of you have about 4 or 5 big trees in the yard, the day you don't have no fruit to eat, hey neighbor, where you have me? Well, boy, I have a surplus of dashing here, I planted it, come good, and you come and take some now. Love. One love in the house, right? Have a good day, everybody.